How can emotional intelligence help leaders manage and navigate difficult situations like an underperformance or a conflict or a confrontation?
Yes. So this is again another very commonly seen aspect of senior leaders and leaders, is that they find it difficult to deal with conflict. So I see a number of leaders put all those tough and difficult conversations under the carpet. We don't want to get into a conflicting situation. I have seen leaders who have difficulty even giving performance review, giving a critical feedback during an annual performance review. If the employee wasn't there, I would say so many things about it. But moment the employee comes, because of that softness towards people, I tend not to take on conflict and tend not to say hard things. And EI is not about being soft. No, not at all. So sometimes, we have this myth about emotional intelligence being nice and soft to people. No. EI, high EQ, is a leader who can call out things, who can call out and have difficult conversations, who's not shy from holding back. That is also part of EQ. So therefore, when I learn this art of EQ, as I always say, that EQ is a learned behavior. Once I learn this behavior, then I don't hold back. I do not hesitate to speak up. These are all parts of my emotional maturity. EQ basically results in emotional maturity. These are all aspects of my emotional maturity, aspects of my psychological health. Psychologically, inside of me, I feel very good about myself, and emotionally, I am high in terms of my emotional ability, and therefore, I do not hesitate from having those conversations. But like I said, there are many leaders who suffer from that.
Another interesting fact I was reading, it says difficult people are often emotionally triggered, not intentionally difficult, right? They're just, emotions are so high, they're not thinking rationally. And they, along with facts, bring in emotions, egos, uncertainty, everything is all mixed up. So sometimes we say, right, to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes, I think if we understand why they are triggering and what triggers them, managing such situations and managing such people becomes slightly easier than probably managing them in a different way. So
yeah, absolutely. And it could be a team member, who is suffering from that. It could also be the leader who has that pattern, of having some extreme reactions to people. You use the words, the ego, how the leader sees himself. Oftentimes, when the leader shows up that kind of behavior, then it is the leader may not be conscious about it. It's a subconscious behavior that the leader is not aware of. Now, supposing this leader undergoes some bit of EQ training and exposure, then the leader is able to observe his own emotions, how he speaks up, how he shows up, and how it lands on others. So what Dr. Daniel Goleman calls as self-awareness and social awareness. A self-awareness leader is somebody who's awareful of how emotions are playing inside of me. And a socially aware leader is somebody who's able to notice how the emotions are playing out in others. And that is, I think, both are equally important for a leader. But that is one aspect of leadership, which is, having high EQ. But you talked about the roots of such behavior. And the roots of such behavior also lie in terms of my psychological health. That is, how do I take my own ego? Ego meaning not the ego the way we understand ego, how I see my own self. A better word would be self-esteem. So how do I look at what is my own self-worthiness? Do I feel inside of me, do I feel worthy enough, or do I feel empty? Do I feel that I'm lacking many things, or do I feel complete? This is how we look upon ourselves. So self-esteem, self-worthiness is a very important aspect when we coach leaders. And oftentimes a strong self-critical tendency, a strong self-doubt. These are very, very common, these words that I'm sharing with you. I see them day in, day out. And I comfort the leader saying that if you are suffering from this, it is very normal. It is very normal for us as human beings to have insecurities, self-doubt, comparing with others and putting ourselves down. These are all very common sets of behavior. So these are all part of that psychological health. So psychological health, emotional health are very, very vital, subtle, vital, deeper aspects of the leader's psyche. And we need to speak more about it.